On the morning of Tuesday, November 11th, 2024, just after 10 a.m., the atmosphere at Birmingham Airport seemed ordinary. It was filled with the familiar cacophony of announcements and the endless hum of luggage carousels. Flights landed, passengers collected their baggage, and the relentless flow of travelers continued without interruption. To any casual observer, it was just another day at one of Britain's busiest travel hubs. But among the routine movements of the arrivals hall, a darker current was flowing just beneath the surface. This is the story of how three separate crimes would soon collide in the public eye. At the heart of one of those stories was a woman who, on the surface, seemed to be a cornerstone of her community. To anyone who knew her, Farzana Kauza lived the life of a typical mother and grandmother. At 54 years old, she seemed like many others in her hometown of Bradford, raising a family and attending to household responsibilities, presenting the image of an ordinary parent. But behind that outwardly quiet existence, she was carefully building and directing an international drug trafficking operation valued at millions. Investigators would later describe her as the linchpin of a sophisticated network, one that moved vast quantities of cocaine from Mexico to the United Kingdom. Kauza was far from acting alone. Evidence presented in court revealed that she was working with contacts overseas, including a figure referred to as Uncle in Pakistan, who played a key role in arranging shipments and providing connections. This shadowy partnership helped her establish a system that on the surface looked like carefully timed family trips abroad. But in reality, it was the foundation of a large-scale criminal enterprise. Her leadership was both calculated and deeply personal. Unlike many organized crime figures who distanced themselves from direct family involvement, Kauza deliberately recruited her own children into the conspiracy. Some were barely out of their teenage years. Her son, Hamza Shafat, for example, was only 17 when the offenses took place. Still legally a minor when the smuggling was underway, his life trajectory was altered irreversibly by the decision to obey his mother's demands. His siblings, ranging from their late teens to early 30s, were all given roles to play. Her eldest son, Jund Shafak, 33, took on a central role, helping coordinate travel and oversee operations. His position in the family made him a natural extension of his mother's authority. Alongside him was Mohammed Ami Shafak, 28, who acted as a courier, entrusted with handling luggage runs and taking part in the smuggling activity. Mohammed, 22, also became part of the operation at an age when most young adults are just beginning careers or settling into adult life. His role as a courier exposed him to the full dangers of the conspiracy. Kauza's decision to draw in her daughter-in-law, Sarah Hussein, 27, widened the circle of devastation. Rather than being shielded from the criminal side of the family, Hussein was instead expected to take part in the broader plot. Safinor, just 19 at the time, was another of the youngest members of the conspiracy, drawn directly into her mother's plan. She acted as a courier within the network, with her role showing how even the youngest in the family were given responsibilities in carrying out the smuggling operation. Outside the immediate bloodline, Khalid Abdal Kawi, 36, a trusted friend of the family, was also recruited, underscoring the tight-knit but destructive nature of the group. This was not a loose arrangement. It was a structured hierarchy with Kauza at the top. She organized the movements, gave the instructions, and ensured that those beneath her followed through on the plans. For the family members, loyalty to their mother came at the cost of their own freedom and futures. For Kauza, it meant the ability to extend her reach, blending the appearance of ordinary family life with the cold calculation of an international trafficker. The true sophistication of the conspiracy lay in the way the gang engineered their airport routine to appear ordinary. On the surface, their movements mimicked those of casual travelers making short breaks to nearby European destinations. They would book tickets to Dublin or Amsterdam, two popular short-haul destinations. They would travel lightly, often with no checked luggage at all. These journeys gave the impression of brief, legitimate getaways. Crucially, their return flights were deliberately timed to land at Birmingham Airport just as a long-haul flight from Cancun, Mexico, was arriving. Inside the baggage hall, this timing became the cornerstone of the plan. As passengers from both flights mixed at the carousel area, Kauza's couriers would move toward the belt serving the Mexico flight. Preloaded suitcases packed with kilos of cocaine had been checked in at Cancun by a corrupt insider. The conspirators would simply lift the unaccompanied bags off the carousel and roll them out of the arrivals hall as though they were retrieving their own belongings from their short-haul flight. The brilliance of the method lay in its simplicity. To an untrained eye, nothing appeared suspicious. This was a repeatable system, tested across at least 5 smuggling runs between August and November 2024, employing Fazana's family with similar precision. There was no need for concealed compartments or false bottom cases. Instead, the risk was shifted entirely to the moment of interception. Avoiding custom scrutiny was central to the strategy. By behaving like any other returning passenger, dressed casually and in avoiding nervous gestures, the couriers counted on slipping through unnoticed. The family's ability to maintain composure was key, since the entire plan rested on appearing normal. This is the story of their downfall. It involves a mother who pulled her children into a criminal plot, a dealer whose carelessness revealed more than he intended, and a man who thought he could walk calmly through customs with a fortune in drugs. These stories expose the darker undercurrents flowing through Britain's airports. These stories don't tell themselves. It takes hundreds of hours of research and painstaking work to get every detail right. If you appreciate the effort that goes into bringing these cases to light, consider subscribing. It's a simple click that makes all the difference. On the day of November 11th, officers from the National Crime Agency, NCA, and airport security teams have been quietly monitoring a group of individuals whose movements matched a pattern uncovered over several weeks of investigation. They had identified the suspect's travel pattern, and this time the group's every step was under close surveillance. As a long-haul flight from Cancun, Mexico arrived, members of Fazana Kauza's group blended in with crowds at the baggage claim. CCTV later revealed how calmly they positioned themselves near the Mexico carousel, waiting for bags that should not have belonged to them. In total, 6 suitcases loaded with high-purity cocaine had been planted on the flight by their overseas contact. The group's task was straightforward: lift the cases, wheel them out, and merge back into the flow of passengers. But this time, their every move was tracked. For investigators, the moment of collection was the final piece of proof needed to confirm the conspiracy in action. CCTV footage also captured the group wheeling the heavy suitcases through the terminal doors and out onto the forecourt, blending with other passengers heading toward pickup vehicles. As they pushed trolleys and dragged bags across the pavement, their plan appeared to be working. Their confidence was a mask, hiding the truth that they were being watched with every step, a final, incriminating act for the cameras. But as they began loading the luggage into waiting cars, their plan came to an abrupt halt. The trap was sprung. National Crime Agency teams moved in, their presence a sudden and decisive shock. Within moments, 6 suspects were surrounded and arrested, and all 6 suitcases were seized before they could leave the airport grounds. Inside, investigators found an astonishing 180 kilograms of cocaine compressed into blocks and tightly wrapped for distribution. The value of the whole was staggering. Experts calculated its wholesale worth at around £5 million, with a potential street value of £14.4 million once broken down into smaller deals. For the NCA, the bust represented not just the disruption of a single smuggling run, but the dismantling of an entire family-led trafficking pipeline. Photographs released later by the CPS showed seized packages stacked together, a stark visual of what the family had risked everything to transport. The final act of this family's criminal enterprise was not played out in a secretive baggage hall, but in the solemn setting of Birmingham Crown Court. When the case against the Kauza family and their associate finally came before the court in late 2024, the scale of their crimes was matched only by the severity of the sentences imposed. At the center of it all was the matriarch, Fazana Kauza, who was identified as the ringleader of the operation. She was sentenced to 13 years and 4 months in prison. Her children, who had been drawn into her criminal world, each received significant custodial terms. June Shafak, age 33, was sentenced to 10 years and 9 months, while Mohammed Amir Shafak, 28, received 8 years and 9 months. His younger brother, Mohammed, 22, was handed a sentence of 8 years and 1 month. The youngest members of the conspiracy also faced judgment. Safinol, who was just 19 at the time of her offenses, was jailed for 7 years and 2 months for her role. The fate of the youngest courier, Hamza Shafit, who was only 17 when the smuggling was underway, was handled separately due to his age. By the time of the trial, he had turned 18, and his sentencing was scheduled for October 2025, meaning the court had not yet delivered a final decision at the time of reporting. The family's daughter-in-law, Sarah Hussein, 27, was given a 2-year sentence, which was suspended for 2 years. The lone non-family member, Khalid Abdalkawi, 36, was sentenced to 10 years and 9 months in prison. The sentences served as a powerful testament to the court's view of a family that had deliberately risked everything for illegal profit. What do you think about these cases and the sentences each individual received? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you found this breakdown insightful, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you won't miss our next case on UK crime documentaries.